The early 19th century was a time of immense change for the young United States. Born from revolution, the nation grappled with defining its identity and fulfilling its ideals. This period, spanning from 1800 to 1848, witnessed the administrations of 6 presidents, each leaving their mark on the country's trajectory. From the echoes of the Founding Fathers to the rise of new voices, this era witnessed the expansion of suffrage, the debate over slavery's expansion, and the growth of industry. It was a period of both progress and conflict, laying the groundwork for the nation we know today. The Louisiana Purchase dramatically expanded the nation's territory, while the War of 1812 solidified its independence. This period also saw the rise of Andrew Jackson, a symbol of both democratic ideals and the era's tumultuous spirit. This era was marked by a constant tension between the ideals of liberty and equality and the realities of a society still grappling with slavery and inequality. It was a time of both great promise and profound challenges, shaping the very soul of a nation.
I took office in 1801. In 1803, I oversaw the Louisiana Purchase, doubling the size of the United States. However, my presidency also saw the expansion of slavery westward.
I led the nation through the War of 1812 against Great Britain. The war, while divisive, ultimately solidified American independence and spurred industrial growth. I presided over an era of relative peace and prosperity known as the Era of Good Feelings. My presidency is marked by the Monroe Doctrine of 1823, a foreign policy statement that opposed European colonialism in the Americas.
I faced a deeply divided Congress and struggled to implement my agenda. My presidency was marked by political maneuvering and the rise of sectionalism.
As a war hero and populist, I became the 7th president in 1829. My presidency ushered in Jacksonian democracy, an era characterized by expanded suffrage for white men and increased executive power. However, my legacy is also tarnished by my harsh treatment of Native Americans, including the forced removal of tribes from their ancestral lands.
Martin Van Buren, Jackson's vice president, became the 8th president in 1837. He inherited a financial crisis caused by Jackson's economic policies. Van Buren's presidency was marked by economic instability and the rise of the Whig Party, which opposed Jacksonian democracy. The early 19th century saw the rise of various social and religious movements. The Second Great Awakening, a Protestant revival, swept through the nation, emphasizing personal salvation and social reform. This religious fervor fueled various movements. Abolitionism, the movement to abolish slavery, gained momentum during this period. Abolitionists like Frederick Douglass and William Lloyd Garrison spoke out against the horrors of slavery, demanding its immediate end. They published newspapers, held rallies, and aided fugitive slaves through the Underground Railroad. The women's rights movement also emerged during this era. Women, denied basic rights like voting and property ownership, began to organize. Figures like Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott challenged traditional gender roles and demanded equal rights for women. Education reform also gained traction. Horace Mann, a leading advocate for public education, argued for free, non-sectarian schools for all children. This period saw the establishment of public schools in many states, laying the groundwork for a more educated citizenry. These movements, while often facing significant opposition, reflected a growing awareness of social injustice and a desire for a more equitable society. The Supreme Court, under Chief Justice John Marshall, played a crucial role in shaping the nation's legal landscape during this era. Marshall's court strengthened federal power and established the principle of judicial review, the power of the court to declare laws unconstitutional. Marbury v. Madison in 1803 established the principle of judicial review. The court ruled that it had the power to declare laws passed by Congress unconstitutional, solidifying the judiciary's role as a check on legislative power. McCulloch v. Maryland in 1819 upheld the constitutionality of the National Bank and affirmed the implied powers of Congress. The court ruled that the necessary and proper clause gave Congress powers beyond those explicitly listed in the Constitution. Gibbons v. Ogden in 1824 affirmed the federal government's power to regulate interstate commerce. The court struck down a New York law that granted a monopoly on steamboat operation, asserting federal supremacy over interstate trade. These decisions established the Supreme Court as a powerful force in American government, shaping the balance of power between the federal government and the states.